Is he the tester, floor tester?
Yeah. Standard working load tester.
Yeah. I'm the heavyweight. I get to test everything.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
The skins for the floor now pinned in place.
Control rods are going in as well.
It's fitting the rods in the square bearing guides.
Yeah, the only thing is, because we didn't have the two frames there, frames 29 and 28, we don't kind of know how they were broken, whether they were actually cut, the frames, to get the control rods in. The lower one, which is the elevator, I believe, that's going in okay. The top one won't pull it in enough, so in other words we're going to have to cut frame 29 and put a repair over it.
Dave is removing the skins ready for painting. So I better get a bit of the preparation progress.
I'm just scuffing them up a bit for
What are you using?
Just Scotch Brite, just to scuff them up a bit.
Scotch Brite.
And paint will finish off. Prepping them 24 stages. I made some of the formers.
You've cut them out, have you?
Yeah, I was working on the on these.
How many have you got to do? I thought you only had 3 to do.
There is 3. It's a backing board.
Yeah,
it's the same size, and you just have to clamp it and then knock it round.
Yeah.
They're not finished off yet.
No, but they'll be one shape, and they're just.
They'll be that's rib 20A. You see they're different sizes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've got 21A, and that's the size now.
Yeah.
All sanded.
Yeah. And when you bend this over, I believe the cutting, there is a space between several of the lengths, isn't there? It's not one long length going around.
Oh no, there's slots in it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So it'll be easier for it to.
Yeah, that would do. You bend it up so far, and then I'll probably do one complete session, and then you shrink it. You know, like Dave was doing when he was doing the frames. It's exactly the same principle.
Yeah.
But when you get to the tighter pieces, as you put it up, you then cut a slot in it, and then do it as sections.
Yeah.
So it just makes it easier.
Yeah.
Because you're only shrinking small pieces. You're not trying to cram all that metal into a thing, and so there's less chance of it cracking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of needles out of them yet, and then that's got to be. They'll have to be routed.
Yeah.
Put a radius on the back to put in this.
Yes.
This piece here.
You'll just bend that up over.
Yeah, exactly the same principle, but just knock it on the thing, and then that'll just be stretched. This has all gone by the wayside at the moment.
Oh. Have you got the extrusions all done now, drilled out for the ribs? For the ribs in the wing. Last
Oh yeah, they're all drilled. They were waiting for paint.
Oh, I see.
The only holes we haven't put in are the holes that go through from the stringers.
Yeah.
Because we have to bolt them in position.
Yes.
And then back drill the holes through.
Yeah.
Because two of them are double skin.
Yeah.
They've got anchor nuts on the inside. They've not got like these are nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
Through there, and it's got a space of that side and a space of this side.
Yeah.
With two of the ribs down there, they're double-sided ribs.
Yeah.
We've got two. We've got the web plate here.
Yeah.
There's one on both sides.
Yeah.
So of course you can't get in.
So you put an anchor in it.
So there's where it attaches. there's anchor nuts fitted. So there'll be 2 anchor nuts on that side, at each position, because they're done in pairs. There's 2, then there's the gap between, then there's another 2, then there's a gap, and there's another 2, and on this side there'll be 1 there, 1 there, 1 there.
Yeah. Right, we've got the square bearing there. All the rest are round bearings. Now, why is it square there and not a round bearing?
Good question, well put. Actually, no idea. Just the fairleads here just rotating, I guess, because you've got the.
Can you get that all the way down now to?
No, this is where one of the problems was.
Oh.
There's two problems really. There's one that this one here, the elevator control, will go in with existing cutouts. So the bearing here, it's got enough play in it to go in, and that all lines up perfectly. Problem number 1 is the rudder control. You can put it in, but you can't get it through. You can't put it in. If I show you, you put it in, but you can't put it in far enough for it to. Because you can't bend it enough to get through here.
Has it got a bearing in there already or not?
No, it hasn't.
Which way do they do it on Just Jane?
Well, yeah, good question. I have no idea because I've looked at it and I can't see how they do it because none of them seem to have these brakes in.
No.
So, not quite sure how they did it.
And they're riveted where it goes in from a tubular to square to round.
I mean, we could take those out. That's another way of doing it. I think the preference at the moment is to. I'd rather keep this section here whole, where the square fairly is, and cut a bigger hole here to allow us to put that in.
Yeah.
There's another difference in between this aircraft and Just Jane. These control rods that came out of this aircraft. But they're shorter. Jane has the effectively the joint between the forward control rods comes all the way through to here, and then there's a joint.
Yeah. When you put this on, will you put Just Jane's on?
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
The skins for the floor now painted and blind riveted in position. Dave 3 has managed to fit the control arms along the inside of the fuselage for the rudder and elevator. Cooking rivets and annealing them before use for the rear wheel Oleo box.
No, the oven's constantly 500 degrees. You just have to cook them for half an hour, and then you quench them in the frying pan.
That's the quencher, is it?
Yeah.
Do you throw that over day? Wow.
Right, it's going to get hot.
Look on this side.
Right, it's going to fry now. Pretty light, isn't it? I feel that through the gloves. Okay, now put some of them in the freezer and take some out with us.
Good. Put that piece of cloth or whatever.
Tape, there's masking tape on it just to protect the rivets. Sometimes you don't get it on fully square, you might get a bit of, mark the rivet or mark the skin, so this just gives you a bit of extra protection.
Thank you.
Snaps alright, isn't it? It's not knocking yet. No, it's nice off, huh? Okay. Okay.
I spoke to Bob. He's the Deputy Chief Engineer for the Lancaster restoration and he covers the airframe. I spoke to him about the squared tubes at the end of the controls for the elevators and rudders. I'll come back to you in you know the rods which go to the rudder and the elevators at the back, they're circular and they go through circular bearings.
Yeah.
Then when it comes to the last part, they come to a square.
Yeah.
Going into it. Why is that?
I wish I could answer that. I possibly more strength at that point.
Yeah. Is there any circular movement in the tube at all?
There shouldn't be, it should just be full enough.
If you had put a round bearing and a round tube at the end...
I would have thought it would have done the job, but obviously not. It must be square, it's heavier duty, so I can only assume it's for strength, but there you've got a strong point, with weaker points either side.
Yeah.
So I honestly, I've often wondered myself.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I've never seen that on any other aeroplane.
Oh, yeah?
Whether
No.
it's just an average thing or...
Yeah. Right, okay, thanks a lot, Bob. Cheers. Is this the machine or is this... Tony and Sven checking out and testing Just Jane's artificial horizon. So the artificial horizon.
So at the moment it's telling us we're about, 5 degrees nose down. We're flying straight and level. If I turn this on,
so she's tipping over to the right.
starting to climb. Rolling to the left. So we've got to turn it off and then turn it back on again and see if it starts up. Well, it won't be a fair, well, it won't quite be a fair test because we haven't quite got enough vacuum. But
how sensitive is it if you did that with a tray?
I can show you.
It's quite good, isn't it?
It's not quite erect. It will sort itself out.
Just put it straight up. I was in a dive. Oh, it's spot on, isn't it? It moves quick.
Oh yeah, it should, within reason, follow the follow the table if we've got it on. I mean, in theory, if it's working correctly, if we leave it for, I can't remember how many minutes, I think it's 4 minutes, it should re-erect itself. So the horizon bar will be correct. At the moment, it's slightly off, but that's a separate test.
Yeah, it's not a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's not.
Just needs
could be the bench or anything.
Well, these are new benches.
That's quite a
It's
long
a
way
fairly
out.
weighty piece to get, but the feet are adjustable, so.
How does the gyro correct itself?
Oh, for the erection mechanism.
Yeah.
It has two mechanisms. One called the crew, it's a weight.
Yeah, so it
starts off when you power it up. When you apply vacuum, it should already be sitting roughly in the right white plane.
Yeah.
But within the weight, there are. I can show you. This is the pendulous weight at the bottom. There's 4 vanes on each side of it that let air through. Yeah. So if it's perfectly erect, all 4 vanes allow the same amount of air through each of the orifices at the bottom. If it's slightly off, one pair will be open, one pair will be closed, and that'll apply a torque that will re-erect it until it gets back to the neutral position.
And is that pretty quick?
About, so it says about 4 minutes, depending on how far off it
I
is.
see, yeah. But once you've got it set after the 4 minutes, and you're running it all the time,
it should
stay there.
Roughly, yeah. What will happen as the aircraft manoeuvres, if it's in pitch and roll, it will quite happily get up to it, but it doesn't register yaw, so that will increase, put an error into it. Yeah. But that's why you have the erection mechanism, so that when the aircraft straightens back up again, it will slowly erect itself. I mean, as I said, these are a fairly slow instrument for a bomber. You wouldn't. I mean, they did have them in Spitfires and the like, but most of the time the pilots would ignore them because they'd be toppled. Yeah. So if you were in a fight with the Hun or whatever, you would either, if it's cageable, you would either cage it. If it isn't, you just ignore it and reliably turn and slip.
Thanks very much, lad.
You're welcome.